Hello, everybody, and welcome to Alternative Interactions. I'm Gary. So, today I'm going to be talking about our source connection and recognizing and creating that relationship with source, our higher self. Now, for me, this was one of the big ones for me, and it was quite a struggle. And we get these gurus, and I'm certainly not one of those, but we get these gurus saying, oh, yes, do this, do that, and the connection will come, and blah, blah, blah. And it's, all kumbaya, my lord, and sitting on fluffy clouds and stuff like that. And for me personally, that was not what happened. It was a slow progress to where I am now, a slow progression, I should say. It was a slow process as well. Um, and I struggled for a very long time, um, as well as in meditation. I struggled. It was not easy for me. And now it is, but it wasn't. And so I thought today it'd be a good opportunity to talk about our source connection and recognizing it and feeling it and tuning into it and allowing that connection to develop and grow, and it's not going to happen overnight. If it does for you, brilliant. Wow, brilliant. For me, it took a while, a good while. So for me, I woke up, what, 12, 13 years ago? Yeah, 13 years plus ago. Yeah, coming up 14 years ago, I woke up. And truly woke up. I'd always been aware, but I truly stepped into my past. No more, no more. I went down the research route. I am a researcher. If you want to label me anything, I'm a researcher. Nothing more. I'm just a bloke who researches. And so I spent a lot of time researching, huge amounts of time. And I was lucky to have those around me that were researching as well, and we were able to share knowledge, knowings, learnings. But it was only recently that I've really taken that step forward into the true connection to my higher self. Now, I was always being guided. I was always being guided. I just didn't realize it and didn't really give it any thought. So, was I awake? Yes. Was I aware? Hell no. Hell no. Because I wasn't spiritual in the way that not that you need to be, but how I needed to be in the personal. This is a personal journey, and I can only express my personal journey. And hopefully you'll get, this beautiful community that we've got. You'll get something from that, and there'll be little nuggets that give you a little aha moment or a bit of a help. And if not, hopefully this is just a nice little story for you to listen to. So for me, I actually got to the stage where I realized there was a higher self, and I believed in it. And even that with me with the research, it took a while. It took a while. And so I started to ask questions of my higher self. And I would get signs. Okay. So we're going to talk about signs. And the signs I would get would be I'd ask a question and I'd be driving along I drove a taxi at the time. So I'm driving along in a taxi in the middle of nowhere, listening to the radio. And all of a sudden, the song would come on. And the song would come on. And I'd feel a little like, oh, and I'd look at the song and the title or the lyrics of the song would suddenly jump out at me. And then I'd be aware that this was the answer to the question that I'd asked 2 or 3 hours earlier, sometimes a day earlier, but generally on the same day. And I was like, well, that's strange. Very strange. So for me personally, I'd ask a question and I might get a song, you know, you know, and I'd think, oh, you know, the government, what's going on with the government for God's sake, you know. And then on the radio, Bad Boys would come on, Bad Boys, what are you going to do? And I'd just, Bob Marley, and I'd laugh my head off because I'd get that little ching, think, oh my God, that's, you know, they're bad boys. My higher self is telling me that the government are bad, you know? So for me, that was one of the first little things that I got. And, I wasn't watching TV anymore at that point. And so obviously driving around, I'm listening to tunes. And it had also happened when I was listening to Spotify. And there are other, probably much better, systems to use for that sort of thing. But I use Spotify. And, and so my own, I've got thousands of songs on the playlist that are just randomly playing. And I'd ask a question, and maybe two or three or five songs later, sometimes this song would come on, and I'd instantly know that it was the question. Interesting. I then started to get synchronicities. So I'd ask something, and I might get something on the radio, or I wouldn't get anything on the radio. And then something would happen, or somebody would say something so somebody would get in the taxi, and they'd say something, and it was oh my God, how weird. I was just thinking about that. That was a question I was asking, sort of like of my higher self. I wouldn't tell them that, obviously, but I'd be like, "Oh my God, I was just thinking about that, yeah," yeah. And we'd have a conversation. So a random stranger would get into my cab, and we'd have a conversation about the question I'd asked about for my higher self, synchronicity. That was really interesting. And again, ooh, so it gives you more confidence. Okay, it's confidence, feeling relaxed about this process. I then start to get the gut feelings. So I'd ask a question, and this is one I'm still working on. I really, I'm not, I am still working on this one big style. But you get these feelings, and we've been programmed to ignore our feelings and our like little oofs, you know, because again, there'll be something happening straight away where the system around us is gatekeeping and stopping us from really tuning into ourselves because they want us to externalize. They want us to be out. It's the master slave. And Maten did a really good chat. I think it was with Tula, and they're talking about the master slave system. And I'm not saying I'm a slave and I'm not saying a master, but this is just language I'm using. Okay. So you'd get that feeling, oh, and then something would come in and override it. So the master would come in of the universe in this realm, the dark control mechanism, the dumb elite system would come in and knock that down and take your attention away somewhere else. It's something I'm still working on, is my gut feelings, but I'm getting better and better and better every day at it. For some, it's just so natural and it happens. And even though my human design shows that I have it strongly, because I suppressed it for so many years and ignored it for so many years, I'm having to relearn new patterns of my own personal behavior on my thought process within my own body. And it's been a struggle at times and confusing at times, but I'm getting there. And I hope, you are as a community as well, getting there. Now, the other thing that's come in as well, very, very strongly from developing the radio, the synchronicities, and the gut feelings is knowings. Now, for me, I call them knowings. and I will just know something. And these are getting stronger and stronger, you know. And I'll talk about something that I did recently at the end of the show. And this has, I think, enhanced it again, opened a pathway. And, I was in the shower the other day and kind of daydreaming, and suddenly got these knowings coming in, but they weren't just knowings, it was a full timeline and like video graph of what happened. So there was kind of images, but they were blurry. But the images and the knowings of what had gone on in sequential order were so strong, I was quite shocked. And after the shower, I got my pendulum out and it confirmed I was right. And I was still not certain. I was so blown away by what I saw that I asked others who I trust to do cards and pendulum, and they confirmed exactly what I'd seen was correct. So again, it's that faith. Although my gut feeling was telling me I was right, what I'd seen was so extraordinary, so out there, that I could not quite comprehend what I'd seen. Okay, and what I saw was all it's nothing to worry about anybody. It's absolutely fine. It's just seeing certain things playing out and what's going on. Okay, but very, very interesting. And so these are the subtle messages. And obviously that wasn't subtle in the shower. That was a slap round the side of the face. But you all may get knowings and gut feelings. Oh, you just know that's wrong, or you know that's right. Now, women, ladies, you are much better than this than men. You know, and definitely far, far better than men because of your nurturing instincts and the way that you are. So for me as a man, I think it's more, as men generally, I think it's more difficult for us to really get in touch with our feelings and surrender to that in a way that you can more naturally. Now, that's a generalization, you know, just how I see it. But yeah, you know. So, do you listen to any of these? Are these the sort of things that you've got? I can only express my own personal journey, but I'm sure there's many out you who've had slightly different experiences and different journeys, far, far, far different journeys to this, as in experiences. Some are very profound, some are instantaneous. Some of you are born with stuff, Obviously, Sonia from the Tree of Knowledge, she's a remote viewer and she's always been able to do it. And it's like water off a duck's back with Sonia. And I might get a 0.5% of a knowing or a seeing that Sonia would get. And Sonia would be like, I got in the shower, she'd see the whole thing. She'd see it play out, or she'd get really strong information, all this knowledge coming in. It's fascinating how different we all are, but we all have exactly this. None of us are any better than anybody else. We're all playing the same role. We're all in this together. We're all equal, and we all have an important role to play, as I've spoken about previously. So, listen to these. Do you listen to these? I think you should be. Listen to the knowings. Meditate. Meditation. Oh my God. I can, I can remember when I was first, I really need to do a meditation, sit there, not cross-legged and kumbaya, but trying to do it. And I can remember speaking to a friend of mine say, how do you meditate? I just like, it was just like, you know, and often the easiest way to meditate is just to sit there and be still, close your mind off as much as possible, shut your mind down as much as possible. The internal monologue, try and control it with breath work and just be and see what comes into you. See where you're guided. See what comes in. Guided meditation is absolutely fine, providing you fully fully trust the person that's doing it, and they are not using the Merkaba meditation systems or an external third party way of doing it, in my opinion. Very dangerous because you're giving your power away and you're opening yourself up to something that potentially is not good. And the Merkaba is definitely not good, or Merkaba. Okay, definitely not good. Now, guided meditation, I had a while where a friend of mine, again, we had a little group and we were doing guided meditation, and it was off the charts. And I was able to go to places and see things that were phenomenal, and to this day are very relevant and very important. And I'm in real gratitude for having that experience. I've not generally got to that level of depth in my meditations since then, but have had some really interesting experiences that we'll talk about later again, because it's all, all works in, so yeah, meditation can be really tricky, particularly if you've got a very noisy mind. No dramas, all right? Daydreaming is meditation. Sometimes we drive a car and we forget how we got from A to B. It's just like an instinctive. Sorry, I got an itchy nose. Oh dear. Um, I think I put too much Palo Santo out, and it's got up my nose, making my eyes nearly water. Um, so yeah, it's that. How can I put this? It's the guidedness of this experience. Um, when we're driving, we go into a different brain state, and although we're functioning and doing everything we should be, we can drift away, and that drifting away is a meditative state. I was a brilliant day dreamer as a kid, always have been, and so for me, I kind of go in and out quite regularly, even as an adult. When I used to work in factory jobs, which was so boring, I could go anywhere I wanted. I'd just be trying to leave and almost meditate, but I wasn't aware of it at the time because I didn't understand or have a label for these things. So, yeah, meditation can be very tricky. It can also be very easy. And the harder you try, the more you'll put the blocks up. So just relax and be with it. So, so we've talked about recognizing the contact from our higher selves and not just dismissing these things, the synchronicities and the knowings. Meditation will help enhance what we're doing. Now, this is one of the big ones. It's actually taking action on the message. We don't always need to do anything from the question, but there are actions or things that we can take sometimes from these messages, these knowings. Do you just disregard it or not? Now, many years ago, when I used to do the lottery, the situation had ended. It was an ending and a beginning. And I had a very strong sensation that I needed to buy a lottery ticket. Very strong. Gut feeling, full works. Okay. I was really on I was not in a good place. I wasn't listening to anything that I should have been doing. And although this message was very, very strong, I didn't buy the lottery ticket. Really strong gut feeling. I'm not saying that I would have won the lottery, as in the jackpot, but perhaps I would have won enough to get me out of the financial hole I was in at that time. I'll never know because I didn't react to my gut feeling. Now that's quite an extreme case. I actually have another story that relates to this as well. Now, when I was working in a hospital for the terminally ill, I was a chef cooking for the patients. One of the ladies that worked there, this is when the lottery just started again. She just got given these numbers and she just jotted them down. And they're all in the 40s. And at the time, the lottery hadn't been going very long, and we were under the naivety that you get a single digit number, a teen, a 20, and maybe a 30 and a 40, or it'd be a nice spread. We never considered that the entire six balls in the UK lottery could come out and could be one, two, three, four, five, six. That just wasn't part of our, we hadn't even really thought about it. And this lovely lady wrote down these numbers. And she went home and said, look, to her husband, look, I wrote these numbers down. Let's go. I'm going to go and get a lottery ticket. And he said, don't be so daft, girl. In Norfolk, they speak like that, gal. A lady is a gal. So don't be so daft, gal. Those numbers never going to come in. They're all in their 40s. Honestly, girl. So 2 days later, they pulled a lottery, and every single number came out, and she would have been a multi-millionaire. She didn't follow her gut instinct. She didn't follow what she had been told and guided to do. Now, my story is who knows? Her story is she actually had the numbers written down, didn't take action on the message. Okay. And I'm not saying that lottery tickets just an example, but it happens across. And sometimes by taking the action that you're meant to take, it could be as big as you winning the lottery in a different form. Okay. Now, through doing this with the meditation and taking action, you're actually developing your personal connection to source, your guidance, allowing yourself to be guided. I have total faith that everything I need, not want, everything I need will be given to me, provided by me, or quirks of fate will come across and people will come across me that will provide for me what I need at that time. I will be supported by my higher self always. I have 100% faith in that. Unwavering knowing. 100% knowing, faith, commitment, just a feeling, comfort. It's like being in that lovely warm hot bed when you wake up in the morning and you're all comfy and relaxed and everything's lovely. And it's like, that's how I feel about being looked after by my higher self and guided by my higher self. So I allow my higher self to guide me. An example of this is before I actually got onto YouTube, I never wanted to go on YouTube. Never wanted to do YouTube at all. Never wanted to stick my head above the parapet. Wasn't interested. I then got a message from Source, very strong knowing, you've got to set up a YouTube channel. I was like, really? And this message kept for 3 weeks. I was not doing it. I was not doing it. And for 3 weeks, literally every single day, I got a message, YouTube channel, YouTube channel. Oh, God. So I got my boy to help me set up because, I'm not interested in technical stuff. I'm really not, as you can tell by the high quality of my recordings. So I set the YouTube channel up with help. Telegram channel was set up. Email address was all set up. And so the Wizard of Oz, my partner, said to me, so what next? And I went, oh, nothing. And they were like, what? You've gone absolutely crazy. It had to be done. And now and I got the message, don't do anything. And when the time was right, it started and I did it. but only when I was told to and guided to do so. Total faith. Total faith in the guidance I'm going to get and what I will get back from this. And the same applies for you, all of you. When you have that real strong, loving connection, trust with your higher self. Yeah, I use the pendulum. Some people use cards. Some people it's meditation or just a knowing or faith. Their faith, that connection is unwavering, strong, pure, clean, and I will always be looked after, as all of you will be if you actually accept and listen to your higher self and the guidance and the knowings and all the things we're talking about. Now, past life regressions and meditation, looking into this sort of stuff, very, very interesting. Now, from my experience working with Gordon of Peaceful Rebellion, this has been a bit of a game changer. Certainly in the last, a week or so ago, a couple of weeks ago, whenever it was, when I did the pre-life progression and went forward in time. Okay. But I did do a past life progression where I had questions that he asked my higher self, and I did. I have to say, for me personally, that helped the connection. It helped it, made it feel wider, made the path wider for me personally. I'm not saying that you should do this. I'm just saying for me personally, I noticed the difference. Almost more calm and at peace with that connection, you know, because you do wonder, you've got a busy mind. You're thinking, oh, am I doing it right? Aren't I doing it right? Is the connection good? Isn't it good? Oh my God, I've asked a question that hasn't got back to me. And oh, my higher self hasn't got, oh, we can really go up our own yin yangs on this one. Meditation and this past life experience has helped me, but do not expect the earth to move. It's not for everybody and it's personal stuff. Now, the pre-life, as in the future life progression, you know, was very profound for me. I have been given knowings and understandings of what's coming in the future. Very clear about it, I am. Sounds like Yoda then, didn't I? For me personally, I was shown a video 4 years ago. Yeah, 2021, early, maybe the end of 2020, but around 2021, I was shown a video on my phone. And the video never existed. It was source. Or it was a higher beings, whatever, my own higher self, using the technology, and they showed me a video, and I watched the video 4 times, shared it on every platform I was on at the time, and nothing ever shared. There was no share anywhere. And I hunted for that video, and a friend of mine helped me hunt for that video for a week, and we couldn't find it. And it's because it never existed. It was only for me, you know, divine intervention. But from this video, I was given certain knowings, knowledge, and information about things that are likely to be. I was also given more research stuff to do, like Looking Glass, Operation Looking Glass. And I've got a video that I talk about Operation Looking Glass and the profound effect. So I'm not going to go any deeper to that. If you want to look at this and start researching yourself, please look at that video, do your own research, and come to your own conclusions on this. But I did the progression with Gordon last week. Okay, there's a part one and a part two to it. Please watch them. They are fascinating because the information in them and the conclusions I get on the part two are mind blowing. Now, the knowings that I had been given, the information I'd received from source via meditations, seeings, little seeings, glimpses, little things. I actually lived it. I actually went there and I lived it, smelt it, tasted it, and touched it. And it was amazing. And it was exactly how I envisaged it, plus some more. I mean, oh my God, it was off the charts. A really profound, life-changing almost experience for me. Not only were the knowings that Source had been given me in this information, you know, I was shown it and taken there. And the questions I'd ask Gordon to ask, and the discussion and the knowings of working with Gordon and the trust we have, he was able to guide me in an amazingly clever way, using all his knowledge and skill into seeing things and experience things that I could only ever dream about. And now I know their reality. And he was very clever by in the hypnotization of only coming back to allow that tunnel, that thread, that connection would always stay there. And yes, I have been back already. Why wouldn't you be? Why wouldn't you be? I also know that I'm not to be shown any more than I currently have seen for a little while. And I'm getting goosebumps for that, goosey goosey. Ugh. Because I'm still processing what happened. Now, this is the ultimate for me source connection, where source showed me by hypnotism that deep, deep connection. The guided meditation I'd had by my friend years ago was awesome. This was it on steroids and another level beyond. Amazing and an amazing experience. Am I suggesting that everybody has this? No, I'm not. But I had faith in Source, and Source said, go for it, do this. I listened to my higher self. It was the right time and the right thing for me to do. So I did it. If I'd done that a year ago or 2 years ago, would I had the same experience? I don't think I would. And I think it would have been totally different. And I don't think I would have got out of it what I needed to or should have got out of it via the guidance of Source, our higher self, our connection to the creation. Source is our connection to creation. I don't use the word God in this. If you wanted to, you could. Source is my connection to creation. The creators or the creator. I think creators personally, but I'm not certain. And do we really need to know that and worry about that at the moment? No, we don't. In my opinion, I'm comfortable and I'm chilled out about it all. But this glimpse of this new realm that we will all be going into, this collective, we're gonna go in there. We really are. It was fascinating, and I may well talk about it at length next month when I've had more time to really download and understand what I saw. But this only happened because of my connection to Source, my trust in my higher self, and the oneness that I feel. it's not easy. It's taken me from 2020 to now, you know, started getting spiritual in 2020, had a few very strange experiences and started connecting and met some really important people that guided me. I met people at the right time to guide me into these things. And I continue to meet the right people because I'm guided to meet the right people. There are no coincidences. This is, everything is synchronicity. Everything is as it should be, and we meet the person, or we tune into the right radio station, or we watch the YouTube program that we're meant to watch at that time, because often there's a message in there that we need to find out, or we need to see. Quite profound stuff, in fact. So, source connection. For me, that's what it is. I hope this is helpful. And my connection is still an ongoing development. I'm no guru, I'm no expert. I'm just a bloke who does research, who's having these experiences, expressing them as best as I can with my limited knowledge of English to you. So hopefully that will inspire you or help you in seeing some of the connections and give you a little bit of peace of mind, because we are in a really good place. Everything is as it should be. So with that, everybody, love, light and blessings, and I shall catch up with you very soon. Bye, everyone.